After a rude interruption called World War II, America's hot rodders got back to their quest for speed with a passion. Under the guidance of Wally Parks and his newly formed National Hot Rod Association, car clubs sprung up all over the country. Organized drag racing came about as an activity for those clubs, the perfect alternative to the dry lake beds along the place to let her rest. First, it was abandoned airstrips, then facilities built especially for this burgeoning sport. The first national championship was held at Great Bend, Kansas in 1955. The drag racing explosion was on. Today, less than 30 years later, NHRA drag racing is truly major league sport. Over 600,000 people attend the 12-event Winston National Championship Tour. Untold millions more view at home on national television. In the next 90 minutes, we're going to thrill you, chill you, and maybe move you a bit emotionally. Hair-raising crashes, heart-stopping finishes, record performances, impossible dreams accomplished. It's all part of the decade of thrills from Diamond P Sports.
From 150 miles per hour to 250. From the flathead Fords of the 50s to the 3,000 horsepower supercharged engines of the 80s. Now that's progress. But drag racing is not just engines and technology. It's the people that have made this the great American motorsport. And who better to share this retrospective look at a decade of thrills than a man who has given us so many of them. Four-time funny car world champion. The first into the fives. The first to hit 250. My friend Thomas Hank Prudhomme. Hi, Steve. Welcome. You know, we stand in your beautifully equipped shop. We look at this miracle of a race car, your new funny car for the season. Is it hard to remember what it was like barnstorming a country with an old top fuel dragster, an old station wagon, you and your wife trying to make a living?
You know, I was thinking back and talking about this show and brought back a lot of wonderful memories. And in those days, yes, I remember quite well. It was a lot of fun. It seems like it was just yesterday when it all happened.
Was there a particular moment in time when all of a sudden the fog lifted and you thought, this is more than just a sport. This could be a life's work. It's more than just a sport to me. It could be my livelihood.
Yes, it was for me. I was painting cars in my dad's shop, and I was drag racing on the side. I did a little street racing, but we were out the drag strip and racing around, and I was painting cars during the week. And it came to where I was making a little bit of money in the sport. I couldn't believe it. You know, it was trophies, and all of a sudden there's a little money, and I thought to myself, I'm not going to have to paint these cars anymore. That's my new job in life.
But it's grown even beyond your wildest expectations.
Oh, it has, Steve. Yeah, the memories are tremendous out there. I mean, it's a lot of fun to do.
We're going to be reliving a lot of those memories today, Don, for you and drag racing fans everywhere. The most important ingredient in the decade of thrills, the ultimate drag racing experience, has got to be performance. And the major breakthroughs in the Top Fuel Eliminator category have come from one man, Gary Beck. In 1983, the Winston World Finals at Orange County International Raceway, Gary Beck improved on his own world record with a 5.39-second elapsed time. He was the first into the 560s, the 550s, the 540s, and here you see that historic 5.39. Everybody in the drag strip knew it was an incredible run, but not until the scoreboard read out did we really come to grips with a 5.39. But it shouldn't have been too big a surprise because earlier in that 83 season here at Gainesville, Florida, Gary ran a 5.44, at that time the quickest ever. Jeb Allen was the first to feel the impact of Gary Beck's newfound performance when in 1981, Jeb came to the Winston World Finals, again at Orange County Raceway, with what appeared to be a lock in the World Championship. All he had to do was to win here in the first round, and he would go home with $40,000 in bonus money. Dwight Salisbury, trailing all in the far lane, drives around Jeb Allen. Allen apparently had problems and was out of competition here in the first round. And Don Prudhomme, that has to be a frustrating experience when all you had to do was go another couple hundred feet and win it all.
Yes, but Jeb lost his blower belt in that, of course, quick turn in the supercharger and lost all power in the engine, and that's it for Jeb for the day.
What does it feel like in the car, Don, when that blower belt comes off?
Well, it's completely out of your control. You're going along, you're making good power, you feel as though you're ahead of the guy, and in Jeb's case he was, and all of a sudden, boom, it's just out of horsepower, and the man drives around you, and you're just helpless.
Well, I was down at the far end of the racetrack, Don, but Jeb Allen had no interest in talking to me at this particular moment. $40,000 was within his grasp, and right now I would say, I hope he hasn't written any checks on that already, because there's a guy named Gary Beck that could just pick his pocket.
He's completely frustrated. He's worked all year for this moment. He's out first round. I feel sorry for him. This is a year's work for the man.
Jeb quickly became the most interested spectator in the racetrack, as here he watches Gary Beck, the only driver who can take the World Championship away from him, defeat Shirley Muldowney. Jeb wishes right then that it had gone the other way. Gary Beck, slowly but surely earning more points round by round. Now it's time for the finals. The mathematicians tell us Gary Beck must win this race, set top speed and low elapsed time of the event. He's up against the surprising Dwight Salisbury, who is hole-shotted his way into this final round. Jeb Allen, his wife Cindy, looking on. The entire season has come down to the final race of the year and the last pair of cars. Gary Beck in the near lane. Dwight Salisbury always looking for the hole shot in the right-hand side. He's got 3 in a row here today. It is Gary Beck launching first. Gary Beck off first. Salisbury falls behind. Gary Beck across the finish line wins the race, but suddenly everybody's attention is shifted to Dwight Salisbury, Don Prudhomme. He apparently has blown an engine in a ball of fire.
Yes, he has. Dwight was putting it all out that day, running as hard as he possibly could, and he just didn't have enough to put out Beck. Beck was tremendous.
Well, Gary Beck gets low ET, but misses top speed by 2 miles an hour. The World Championship belongs to the Allen family as Jeb and Cindy celebrate. And certainly Gary Beck has a fine day at the racetrack. A new national record. Dwight Salisbury, who had to have felt some of the heat from that fire, even though the engine is behind him. Safety Safari right there to cooling down. Don Prudhomme, let's take another look, especially at Dwight Salisbury in that far lane.
Dwight's shaking the tires a little bit here, and he's falling behind, as you can see. As he's going down the course, the engine was all used up. He just didn't have any more. But the bad part here in an incident like this is that the fire wants to come forward on the car, as you'll see. It comes into the cockpit area because it's a still area on the machine. And then as the fire goes, the oil goes away and fuel goes away, it goes out. And it wasn't really as dangerous as it was for Dwight.
Well, fortunately for Dwight, he was on one of the longest racetracks in the country, Orange County Raceway. Even with the parachute burned off, Dwight Salisbury says, I've had enough of this, and just grabs the brake, slides the car to a stop. But the 81 World Finals contributed even more to the decade of thrills. This is Funny Car Qualifying. Watch the near lane. Billy Meyer of Waco, Texas. Suddenly the engine explodes. He's on fire, and Don Prudhomme, it didn't look all that serious at first.
At first it isn't, but all of a sudden it just keeps building, pumping out more oil and fuel all over the body. And these funny cars, as you know, they're enclosed, and they keep burning easy.
So Billy Meyer right now is concentrating on trying to get out of that car. The NHRA Safety Safari right on the scene, cooling off car and driver. Billy Meyer is okay.
Billy taking some oxygen right now, but appears to be in pretty good spirits. Billy, you all right?
Oh yeah, I just got a little warm.
Didn't appear to want to go out.
No, it didn't finish. I won those.
Billy Myers, you can see in very good spirits, considering you can see his mustache is a bit singed. Billy, can you come back in competition?
I don't think so. Our other body's in Waco, so I mean it would be, too hard.
Well, were it not for the spare body still back in Texas, Billy Meyer might still be in the hunt here at the World Finals.
Well, Billy Meyer was not the only victim of fire in Funny Car Qualifying. Far lane, it is Gary Dencham, one of the worst fires we have ever seen, Don Prudhomme.
Dencham apparently blew some pistons out of the engine, and it's just pumping hot oil and fuel all over the engine, and of course it's in a tremendous fire. Escape hatches opening up, and Gary Dencham right now is just thinking about getting this thing stopped. That's the big thing in one of these cars is to get it stopped and get the hell out of it.
And Gary's only true ally in this situation is the 5-layer protective suit that he wears, and it held up beautifully. Gary Dencham, amazingly enough, got out of this unscathed.
The protective suit doing just an incredible job. 4 or 5 layers of the 5-layer suit have been burned off, but it still managed to protect Gary Dencham. The boots charred very, very badly, as we can see right here, but they did their job, as Dencham does not appear to have any burns anywhere on his body, but he gazes over at his race car and finds that it is not in particularly good condition.
Less than 10 years ago, Gary would have never walked away from a fire like this. But he's got his onboard fire extinguishers working. They're working on him, getting some coolant on him, and of course the fire crew's right on top of him, and they're going to start on him right now, getting that fire out and get it safe for Gary to get out of this car.
And what a beautiful sight to see Gary Dencham safely come out of that road pad. But the gods of fire were not yet done, Don. You were the next victim.
It was my turn. There we go, same fire, same situation as Gary's, and of course my car got sideways there, and I wanted to get out of it as fast as I could, so I just put it over in the sand. climbing out of the car. I was plenty hot. I was just concerned about the heat in my fire suit getting singed a little bit. So got the fire crew right on me.
It's amazing how quickly that NHRA Safety Safari reacts. No pun intended, Don, but I remember how cool you were afterwards.
It blew late, right in the lights, and maybe even past them. The parachute went right away. Did you have any idea where you were before you came to a stop?
Not really, Steve. I knew I was still somewhere on the course because, obviously I hadn't hit anything up till that point. That's the only thing I was concerned about. I know it looked terrifying and everything, and it was bad from where I was sitting, that's for sure, but the safety of these cars are tremendous, and that's, I have to give a lot of credit to NHRA and the safety committee that make us run different parts and pieces of equipment on the car to make them safe like they are today. And to walk away from something like that is spectacular.
The snake and the mongoose. There's no greater rivalry in nature, and there has never been a greater rivalry on the drag strip as well. When they first started calling you the snake, you didn't like it.
I didn't like it at all. We were at a little drag strip in Long Beach called Lions Drag Strip, and it was around 1964 where it really took off with the name Snake.
And it came from your quick reflexes. But McEwen, always the opportunist, he seized on the moment and called himself the mongoose.
Yeah, McEwen did that. And I didn't quite take it as serious as McEwen did at the time. I was just more concerned about a good supercharger. And he was ready for some kind of gimmick to keep the fans interested. But it really made me interested too. I learned to enjoy the name Snake.
Well, in the early 60s, Prudhomme was driving a car by the name of the Greer-Black Prudhomme Dragster. They were practically unbeatable out there in a couple of years of racing. And I was driving a car for Ed Donovan Engineering. And we did pretty well, and we beat him a couple of times where the other guys were having trouble. And Donovan was big on nicknames and things, rhymes. And he said, that's just like Kipling's Jungle Book, Ricky Tikki Tavi, the Mongoose and the Snake. He said, you guys ought to get that going.
Nicknames don't make horsepower, though, Steve.
The hundreds of times that you two went to the starting line together, one stands out, the final round of the U.S. Nationals.
Yes, that was quite a tense moment. McEwen was running fairly well, and we were running awfully good. And I really had the race in the bag. Just for some reason, that car struck the tires and put me out of the race, and I really followed him all the way down.
But to all of us who know you and Tom, we knew what a special moment that was, that final round, because Tom had lost his young son Joy a couple of weeks prior to leukemia. And I realized what a bond there was between you two guys at the far end, because you were the first person there. You beat me to congratulate you.
Yeah, it was quite a moment, as you well know, Steve, I hate losing a drag race, and especially to McEwen. But that particular time, it's just something that seemed like it just had to be for him to win that event and beat me in the last round. And I had to congratulate him. It was a special moment.
For all of us.
Don Prudhomme, concerned about even the guy that beat him, his friend, Tom the Mongoose McEwen. The Snake hates to lose. A very competitive person. But if anybody had to win, he wanted it to be Tom McEwen. A very emotional moment down here. I've seen Don Prudhomme lose before, and it's usually a recluse. He gets in his truck, he leaves the racetrack immediately, talks to nobody. This is just a little bit different. Tom the Mongoose McEwen's son passed away last Sunday. He was a good friend to all of us, a young 14-year-old boy. Goose? Don Prudhomme. Very, very emotional at the moment. Just an incredible final, very difficult to describe. As many times as I've been here, I have seen few moments packed with as much emotion as this one.
The rivalry that I particularly like watching is Don Garlits, Shirley Muldown.
Yeah, the fans come to their feet for that one. That's spectacular.
You know, there's some drivers, when they want to beat another car particularly bad, it's always their timing off, they make mistakes. Anytime Garlits and Shirley go to the starting line, they're not going to let you down. It's going to be a great race.
Oh, hey, how about that one in 82 at Gainesville, Florida?
Never forget it.
You might remember, Don, that Garlits had been keeping score on the side of his trailer for all to see, and he badly wanted to even it out at 4 apiece, but the lady had other thoughts.
When it comes to you and Garlits, head on head, there's more than money or title at stake.
There's a lot of ego involved with both of us. I like to beat him because it's, for some reason, people think that it's prestigious to beat Big Daddy, and there are times when he's not running really good and he deserves to be beat.
Rate Don Garlits as a driver, starting line driver.
Off and on, I've seen him exceptionally good, and then I've seen him where I couldn't believe. I thought he was really late. But, we're all
not shy about their feelings towards each other, Don.
Yeah, this is no love story here. I'll tell you, and it's going to be more than just a marginal start. When Big Daddy's up to run her, it's going to be tremendous.
If looks could kill. Bear in mind now, this was the first time these two had ever met in a national event final round. It was Garlett many years ago who had originally signed Shirley Muldowney's application for a driver's license, something he was bound to regret.
But these two have been battling all year. You know, they've been running on small racetracks all around the country. Now they're at the national event, Gainesville, Florida, last round.
And Shirley Muldowney at this time was concentrating on trying to win a world championship.
It's more than a marginal start. Garlett's is out first.
Garlett was away first, but Shirley Muldowney had the horsepower at the far end. She was willing to risk wounding that motor, and she did indeed. To defeat Big Daddy the first time she had a shot at him in a national event final. Boy, did this crew celebrate.
Yeah, it's great. Shirley's been doing a good job all year. You got to admit that. And putting away Big Daddy at Gainesville, Florida was the icing on the cake.
You could see Garlett move first there, Don.
Sure, the car's flexed up, picked up that left front wheel. Garlett's felt as though, I'm sure, where he was sitting, he had the race handled. But Shirley's horsepower is just great that year. She pulled it right away from him.
Well, let's not forget Big Daddy's accomplishment that day. Just to make the final round was quite an achievement. It was all smiles in Shirley Muldowney's camp.
I'm going to ask a not-so-independent observer, John Muldowney, if this wasn't the most exciting final round DeMar and your team has ever been in.
It was definitely the most exciting for us. We wanted to put the old man away since '75, and we finally got our chance, and he will never forget it.
Will this maybe help bury some of that animosity?
Well, he's definitely afraid of this car more than any car there is, and we just like to beat him, but this was the time and the place.
Okay, it was one of the best final rounds I've ever witnessed, and I've been around a long time.
I have a feeling we'll see the two get together again in our next decade of thrills. Pro Stock Donfordome has its own rivalry. Lee Shepherd, who has won the World Championship the last 3 years, and Bob Glidden, who had won it 5 consecutive years before that. We're looking at starting line shots of the two over the years in a variety of automobiles, and we look at the starting line Donfordome because that seems to be where the excitement really is in Pro Stock.
Yeah, that's where it all really counts. These cars run so close, ET-wise, so the one off the start line usually has the race.
And the mechanics of staging, far more complicated than even a funny car, Don.
Yes, because you don't want to over-rev the engine, have too many RPM, so therefore you don't want to be sitting there in the staging lines.
Well, one of the most memorable starting line duels between these two had to be the 1983 U.S. Nationals at Indianapolis. Now, Shepherd moved right up, hoping to force Glidden to the line. Glidden took his time for a change. Now, they're both free-stage. Neither wants to move first because they both like to come in second and have the RPM at just the right point. Is there truly an advantage to staging last, Don?
Well, there is, and especially in Pro Stock's case. They're just trying to throw the other one's rhythm off, because reaction time, Steve, is really a critical situation here right now.
What a staging duel this was. They're both just sitting there free-stage.
Yeah, Glidden is trying to force Shepherd's hand, and he did. Funny car racing, you can't do this. You just go up in a ball of smoke, you'd overheat the engine. Pro Stock case, they're okay.
So Glidden won the war on the starting line, but now the battle is down the quarter mile.
Yeah, it's head-to-head all the way.
But Bob Glidden in the far lane for Ford, and Indiana wins it, salvaging what otherwise was a marginal season. Lee Shepherd may have gone on to be the world champ, but Bob Glidden will long remember this win in front of the hometown fans at Indianapolis Raceway Park. The U.S. Nationals, the biggest drag race of them all, Bob Glidden was the Pro Stock champion.
Tremendous start. Both front ends are up. They left dead even. You know, these cars are difficult to drive. They may look a little easy, but some say they're even more difficult than funny cars.
Driver awfully busy in the cockpit, John.
They sure are. They're chipped in many times going down the course. They have a weight distribution that's completely different in our cars, and they're a little tough to handle.
Well, they were straight and strong on this particular day with Bob Glidden by half a fender.
Never, ever, in any drag race or the crowd roar as they just did for you, Bob Glidden.
Right, gosh damn it, Steve, we're so happy. I'll tell you this, when you come through this mess, you beat the Kutus and the Iaconios and the Shepherds. We're proud, not just of this, but of the family, Ed and the kids. I've got a kid that's got a leg, he can't even walk on it. He's been out here working all weekend. Damn it, we're just tickled to death.
Reaction times were identical, but what was going on? A little staging battle.
You know, these guys break their backs. They nearly pass up the burnout to stage first, so hell with them. I'm going to let them stage first. I've got all the time in the world.
Well, you got a little revenge. Shepherd has beaten you a couple of times here over the last 5 years.
Congratulations again to you and the kids and all of Indiana. Thank you.
Steve, I think that's what makes the sport as big as it is today, the kind of rivalry that we have out there between these drivers.
Don, the snake first struck in funny car competition, winning the world title, back in '75 with the trusty old Barracuda. But before anybody heard of a funny car, you were out campaigning Top Fuel Dragsters. That was the king of the sport.
About 10 years worth. Yeah, we were pounding the pavements, that's for sure, with Top Fuel Dragsters. And in those days, the engine was in front of you. It's like this one right here.
Scary.
Yeah, I've kept this car. It's been really good to me. We won the Indy Nationals, Raceway Park, 2 years in a row with this car, and it's just something I've always liked.
Well, who could ever forget the last time you won it in the final round against Jim Nicole, one of the most emotional and spectacular moments that I can recall in this sport.
It was. Coming to the starting line was tremendous. Jim Nicole and I were battling through that whole event, for about 5 days there, and just the two of us, the last two cars left to go down the drag strip, and he had it all hung out, and of course so did we. We released the clutch in those cars, and they both left even traveling down the quarter of a mile, and
you could see him all the way.
See him all the way, and then all of a sudden, the lights went out, and it was a tremendous accident.
What a grotesque sight that must have been for you, Don, looking at that driverless race car, wondering where your friend and competitor was.
It was, it was a long, hot summer, and that was the last round Raceway Park.
Jim Nicole's clutch explodes right at the finish line. You won by only inches. What I don't believe we can see here is that the parachute takes Jim Nicole in the roll cage and deposits him in the soft Indiana grass, saving his life.
It sure did, and of course, at the time where I'm sitting in the car, it looks like I would never see Jim Nicole again.
Well, what should have been a thrilling moment, winning the U.S. Nationals, had to be badly tarnished here looking at this.
Yeah, that spray gun was looking pretty good to me at that time. I was thinking about actually quitting the sport.
I think I'm okay. Oh, God, yeah, cargo body. What is that? Putting over that? There's no back section on it or nothing.
I think you took that whole experience harder than Nicole did. He was at the banquet that night. I didn't see you.
Yeah, that's for sure. It was really my first experience with let's say, death in the sport, where I was actually running someone, and I felt that someone was killed, in the accident. And it was hard to take.
Don, for me, it's hard to believe that men ever drove this configuration race car with this in front of your face.
It's hard for me to believe it too, but this is all we knew. 10, 15 years ago, this was your slingshot, your Top Fuel Dragster, and that's where you set. You got a lot of oil on your goggles, and of course, a little fire every now and then.
Well, for every guy that's ever had a fire in a rear end Top Fuel Dragster, another thank you note to Don Garlits couldn't hurt.
It wasn't for Don Garlits, I think, a lot. He really changed the sport, as you know. He just done a tremendous job at rear engine dragster. It just changed everything around the sport, like I say.
The rear engine dragster had been tried before, but no one approached the project quite like Don did.
I was on the starting line at Long Beach in the final run, and the transmission exploded, and they took off half of my right foot. Well, I lay in the hospital in Long Beach, California for 8 weeks, and I vowed that I would do something about this problem. So I put together on paper this rear engine car that I thought would work. Got out of the hospital, I built the car, I debuted it at the Winter Nationals in 71 at Pomona, won the event. And it was the first rear engine car to ever qualify at a national event, much less win one. So it's my proudest achievement in this sport.
Well, technically speaking, Don Perdomo, it should have worked long before. I mean, the car doesn't know where the engine is.
Well, the car really does know where the engine is, and Garlits was the only one that could work that out, get the steering right, and the rear end ratio right, and the balance of the machine, and have enough nerve to drive it.
So the handwriting was on the wall for the demise of the front motor dragster as Carl Olson loses to Don Garlits.
Now, in the last couple of years, we've seen some just horrific funny car fires, but the drivers to a man have walked away, and that continues to impress us.
It's largely responsible for the fire suits, of course, fire boots that you don't see in a funny car when the driver's sitting at the starting line. His feet are protected too, but really most of all is the engine compartment, the way the engine is sealed off. You can have a pretty good fire, and by the time that car gets stopped, there isn't a whole lot of fire that's actually getting on the driver. It looks dangerous and it looks serious, but for the most part, the driver's pretty well protected sitting back in there. And of course, he's got his onboard fire extinguisher, which we didn't have 10 years ago. press that button and he's all filled up with fire repellent, and it really helps.
Is there something that we need that we don't have now? A fireproof parachute, let's say.
Well, I'd like to think that those things will come, but right now the sport is safer than it's ever been. There's going to be new rules, new things that happen that'll even make it safer.
In between the National Hot Rod Association and the racing crews, there seems to be camaraderie. It's not management and labor. Everybody's working towards a quicker, safer race car.
That's right, and now when the sanctioning bodies put out a new rule on something, you don't hear the arguments anymore like you did in the old days about wanting to change something. And the new racer now is willing to take those new steps and to change things when they put it in the rule book.
In the beginning, a leather jacket and a battered old helmet was enough for a race car driver. No more. In the beginning, a pickup truck, a bag of grease sweep, and a fire extinguisher was enough trackside safety. No more. The new breed is well equipped and well trained.
Every time the funny car drivers suit up, so does a member of the NHRA Safety Safari in this special suit. Illuminized boots, a 3-layer suit, a sock for his head, a helmet to go on over that, and somehow the thought of the funny car fire is just a little less terrifying, knowing that Ronnie Wilson can go in and get the driver out.
And there was a moment at the 1978 U.S. Nationals when we thought we might need Ronnie Wilson in his chrome suit. In the far lane is Trip Shoemake from Phoenix, Arizona. A nice pass, but suddenly we have ignition, Don Prudhomme. Why would it come so late?
Well, he running out the last light. He's trying to get everything out of the car he could, and it was just a little bit too far. He caught some pistons and caught fire.
The safety safari, the ambulances were ready to roll the instant they saw fire on that car. It is bouncing now.
Yeah, and what's scary in a situation like this, as you notice, it burns the chute right off the car. So therefore, the driver doesn't have any way to stop the car besides the rear brakes.
And it's trying to melt the tires, boil the brake fluid. Nothing's going right for Trip Shoemake on this one.
He's trying to get into a slide right now to get it stopped. He wants out of that car.
And this is why anytime the funny cars start, so do all of the emergency trucks. They are poised and ready. The aluminum suited man in the back wasn't needed in this particular instance, and Trip Shoemake got out of the car to race another day. It's just amazing, Don Prudhomme, how safe these cars are under the worst possible conditions. This is Raymond Beadle in 1982 at Gainesville, Florida. He's given us a lot of thrills with 3 world championship titles, but on this day was a thrill of another kind.
Beadle's really tough. He's the guy that put me away, that took away the world championship from me, and went on to win 3 consecutive world championships.
This particular race, he's up against Al Segrini. It was in round 1, Gainesville, Florida. Watch the blue car, the famed Blue Max. Suddenly it turns right. Beadle may be overcorrected. He's on his top.
Ooh. That's in trouble right there, but driver that he is, as good as he is, he kept his cool, got the car back under control, and he's just as safe as can be right now.
Now, I've never believed that people came to a racetrack to see somebody get hurt, and that proves it right there. Look at the ovation for Raymond Beadle as he crawls out of that race car, and I've seen this 100 times, but I can't wait to see it again. One of the most incredible incidents in drag racing history, and certainly worthy of being in our decade of thrills. Beadle waves him off. I'm all right.
Yeah, he just gathering his thoughts together right now, trying to figure out what the heck happened. I think it caught him as much a surprise as it did the fans.
And if I know Raymond Beadle, right now he's taking a mental inventory of what part he has in Dallas, Texas, and how soon he'll be back on the track. Snake, what happened here?
It just got away from him. I think he got into a little bit of tire hopping. The car got sideways. They're running the front end light on the car, and it just got the air underneath it, just like a Grand National car will do. It spun upside down and connected with the guardrail.
Well, the roll cage took a good shot right there and held up.
Sure can, but these cars are quite strong. They're like a Grand National car. If you get too much air underneath them, get that front end too high, you're gonna get upside down.
The amazing thing, watch this, is as soon as all 4 wheels are back on the ground, and maybe before Beadle is back driving the car.
Probably a little lady luck was with him right now, I'd have to say. He could have went the other way and went over the rail, but fortunately everything caught him just right there. Actually put him right back over on his side of the track where he started out.
And Don, I think they continued to race this car while they were building a new one.
They sure did. They went back to Texas and put on a new body.
Well, I was on the scene immediately after Beadle got out of the car, and I think that maybe I was more excited than the guy in the crash.
Yeah, I'm okay. I just put my feelings worse than anything else.
What happened? We couldn't tell from where I was.
Well, the car went out and it shook a little bit. It had like a slow drift, and I thought I could bring it around, and it just dug in on the one side. When it did, it just flipped it. There was nothing I could do.
Well, that's the first time you've been on your head in a long time, maybe ever.
Well, we went on our head once several years ago, but I gotta say it was my fault. I stayed with it a little longer. We were trying so hard to win that round.
we've slid around before and had no problem, but like I said, it just dug in.
And the car doesn't look that badly damaged.
No, that's all right. I think it rolled once or so.
Okay, I'll let you join your wife, Holly, because she's obviously concerned as to your condition. He's fine.
She's worse than I am.
Raymond Beadle, sometimes I think